Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So we're going to jump right into it. No intro needed today because I really want to jump into this whole entire thing regarding the press conferences between Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, and, Devonte Smith had his press conference as well on top of this really nice extension for him, okay? Now, we'll just get the quick stuff out of the way, which is Nick Sirianni. This is probably good news because, Nick said a lot of things today and he was stuttering a lot and I felt like he has no idea what's going on. I know, there's been rumors that, or not really rumors, but I could say for myself that Nick has had no control over this offseason program. Maybe he has some input on things, but I think Nick has nothing to do with what the Eagles are doing this offseason. Okay, the way he was stuttering at his press conference and he was just being very vague and very plain about things, and I guess it's a good thing because then I know that he's not really involved too much with what they're doing. I don't know. He was just talking out of his ass today on a few things. I don't know. He was just talking about the team in general and what's it like to have two receivers that get paid a lot of money and having guys long term and, just basic things that just didn't really matter. So the Nick Sirianni, what he said when questions were given to him were just he didn't really have any great answers. And it really showed, that the less that he has to say, the better it is for us, that we're going to have more control with these coordinators and the play calling is going to be better and all those great things are going to happen. So that was great. Now, Howie Roseman, okay, a few things here, okay. Someone asked about Fangio, the defense, and the players that they're looking for. And this doesn't really surprise me that Howie Roseman did mention, you want to get players that fit the scheme. Okay, and I think that's a big part of what they did this offseason on getting whether you're getting some guys that are in coverage at linebacker or you're getting some off-ball defensive ends that can play in coverage or something like that. And I think that'll be a big need in the draft as well. And talked about Devonte Smith's extension and why you want to extend your players. You play well with this team. You get rewarded for it, and that's what the Eagles never pass up on players. Besides the HaasonReddick thing that we'll get into later in this video, but signed Devonte Smith to technically including this year as a 5-year deal, using that 5th-year option as like a loophole to lessen more money and lessen these cap hits. For the next few years. And the cap hits did come out, if you guys didn't see, 2024, 8.1, 25, 7.5, even cheaper next year. 26, 10.7, 27, 14, and 28, 20. I mean, really, like, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, Devonte Smith, A.J. Brown. I mean, it's like $35 million in cap hit, and a cap hit for the year this year. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like your bona fide starters are not even over 40, 50, $45 million. I mean, Howie Roseman has done a fantastic job this offseason. But because you get rewarded as a player that plays very well here, and I think that's the big mistake that he learned a long time ago is when you didn't really have much control during the Chip Kelly days and when, seeing players that played at a high caliber leave. And I remember when Nick Sirianni, when Howie Roseman tried to get LaShawn McCoy back for the next few years, after he left, they tried getting him back when he went to Buffalo. Buffalo wouldn't hand him over. He tried to rewrite the wrongs that were done here. So I have to give him credit. Got to give Jeffrey Lurie credit because he gives Howie Roseman all of the power to get all these moves done, having trust in his GM. To write out whatever check that he wants to write out to some of these players that deserve these extensions. And obviously Devonte Smith hasn't even reached his ceiling yet. I mean, that's the scary part, especially when you have competent coaches and we at least can have the same coordinators for a few years. It would be nice. So I thought that was really good. Now, he talked about the Reddick situation in general, saying it was a win-win situation. It was bittersweet, and talked good things about HaasonReddick, but I still feel like something happened behind the scenes. What makes it fair compensation that the Eagles get a 26th third-round conditional pick where he has to play over, he has to play over a certain amount of percentage of snaps and get 10-plus sacks to get that second-round pick, which I don't think we're going to get. But, why has HaasonReddick in his career moved from team to team to team, going to his 4th team already? Like, why is he a problem behind the scenes? Is there something that we don't know? But Howie Roseman seemed very, comfortable talking about it. Didn't give us really big answers on it. But he's really gambling on Bryce Huff. He's gambling on Nolan Smith. Now, Bryce Huff only played 43% of the snaps in a heavy rotation with the Jets last year, but seems like they're putting a lot into those guys. And obviously, Nolan Smith being more of an outside linebacker this year would probably benefit him and his athletic skill set in coverage as well, since he's done it before at Georgia. So he's putting a lot of faith into the young talent, and that's perfectly fine because, you drafted Jordan Davis. That's a make or break year. You drafted Jalen Carter, which I think is going to be a monster. But that other side, I mean, he talked about Brandon Graham coming back. Like, he thinks that these other pieces are really going to compensate for Reddick leaving. I don't really agree on that so much. But, he's not going to talk bad about anybody. I mean, this is a press conference. He's not throwing anybody under the bus. It's not going to happen. But we still have a draft in 8 days. I mean, we still have a draft. I mean, we're almost we're a week and a half of the NFL draft, and he talked about that as well. Well, you might get players for long term. You want players that are going to produce right now, whether it's need or whether it's need now and future. Because Derek Gunn a couple weeks ago, I think a week and a half ago, had some inside rumors that the Eagles are not drafting, down the line type players. They're drafting players with the first few picks. They're drafting players that are going to produce with this team right now, which is a really good sign that they're going to be aggressive in this draft, because I don't see them sitting at 22 at all, when it comes to it. So I thought that was really good. So he even talked about post-draft as well, that he's, that you can always still upgrade this roster, and he wants to be the last team standing in February. And I totally, look, I don't question Howie Roseman that he wants to win a Super Bowl. Every team wants to win a Super Bowl. I get it. But I don't question Howie Roseman on, I think he's a maneuvering type GM that always gets his bang for his buck when it comes to extending players, working those cap numbers, and then really acing this draft would be the cherry on top. And I think other moves could happen after the draft, because at the end of the day, you need $5 million for the draft, and at the end of the day, you're going to have $30 million, a little over $30 million in cap space. I mean, you still have a nice chunk of money where this cap's going to go up next year, $20 million. You're going to have over $50 to $60 million in cap space, 14.5 million coming back for the HaasonReddick trade. You're going to have big chunks of cap coming back for you from the league itself, and obviously from a player in HaasonReddick. So there's a lot going on here. And I know we're not going to get a lot of answers from Howie Roseman. We're not going to get any. We can take some pieces to things that he said. So that's really all that was said, other than the regular PR stuff that he talks about. I thought that was really good. So I feel really good. And Howie Roseman looked energetic. He looked really good. He looked happy. He looked, he didn't look like he was stressed out. He looked like things were going great. He talked about the pre-draft visits are going really well, and so we're gonna find out, what the Eagles are gonna add and what moves they could do after the draft, or maybe players they let go of. We'll see what happens, but it should be really interesting. And lastly, I want to go over Devonte Smith signed his contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, and Devonte Smith had his press conference, and I think the one thing I got to say, Devonte Smith, it was more important to come back here than be. He's one of those players that just didn't think about. It's already enough that Howie Roseman signed him before T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, some of these other guys that are supposed to get paid, and he was the first one signed, because this wide receiver, these contracts are going to get insane. Devonte Smith is a guy that can have no catches in the game and will never bitch about it, because it's all about winning at the end of the day. That he understands that there's going to be games where he's not going to have a reception, or maybe not as many receptions as A.J. Brown, or maybe he will have more receptions than A.J. Brown in some games, vice versa, whatever you call it there. But he's not, this is a Heisman Trophy winner. This is a guy that exceeds in excellence in his craft, and this is a hard worker. This is a guy that leads by example. And being with A.J. Brown, he talked about a relationship with A.J. Brown, they talk every day, and they're really close, and it's great that there is a really good relationship there, which we already knew that. We're not surprised by that, but it's nice to hear it from Devonte Smith actually say it, which is awesome. And he talked about this is the best sports city in America. This is, Philadelphia, between baseball and basketball. He talked about all the sports, and, this is a team you definitely want to play for. And your homegrown talent, guys, they know that when they know the city well, they know what they expect, and it makes these guys want to work harder and play here. He could have asked for more money and just left the Philadelphia Eagles, no doubt. He could have just held out and wanted to strangle the team for as much cap as possible, and he didn't do that. This is a team first guy. I have to give Devonte Smith respect. I talked about this the other day. This is a guy that he doesn't care about how many times he gets the ball thrown to him. It's just helping him with his contract and the 5th-year option and everything that's coming together to help this team overall for not just now, for the future. He hopes that he ends up, fulfilling his contract, and I hope that comes with a Super Bowl and it comes with a lot of yards down the line, which I don't doubt. This was one of the best moves we made this offseason. This was the best move that we needed to happen. A.J. Brown will be another story next year, but we're talking about right now, this year, and that's all that matters. And I was really happy for him. So I thought that went really, really well. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. We went through the Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni press conference, went through Devonte Smith. We went through his cap number. We went through just contract in general and how Devonte Smith feels in his heart coming back to Philadelphia. And I have to give Devonte Smith a lot of respect. It's just it's so crazy. A culture as great as Philadelphia, especially in that locker room right now, it's players aren't gonna point fingers at each other, and players aren't to strangle the front office for more money and hold out, and everybody showed up to workouts and no issues. And the HaasonReddick thing is really interesting, and maybe we'll get more answers later on, so we'll see. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.